Hey guys, we are 1 week out from Ironman Florida, and we thought it would be helpful to share a couple of the workouts that we do in preparation for an Ironman. Some insight into how we taper for the Ironman. First of all, you need to know that how long we taper is totally dependent on how much work you've done in preparation. The more fatigue that you've built up and the longer the preparation, the longer the taper, as well as someone's ability. Obviously, someone that is a more professional or elite athlete, they might not need as long as taper as someone that is newer to the sport. But typically, we have our longest bike ride about 2 weeks out, and we'll call that our last long prep session with a good run off the bike at race pace. And our longest long run, so some of our athletes were getting anywhere from 18 to 22 miles, they were doing it 3 weeks out from the Ironman.
One of the most effective training sessions of this build into Ironman Florida was definitely, it was a 3-hour bike session a couple weeks ago. Big gear the entire time at Ironman output, which for me, my goal is about 220 watt goal. It was brutal. And then right off the bike into a 45-minute run at marathon goal pace, which for me is right around 8 minutes. I held under 8 minutes for that, and that was a huge confidence booster.
The final few weeks of Ironman preparation, we call it the race-specific training phase. And so when you think about preparing for an Ironman, you need to know that you can do the distance. You need to know at what effort and heart rate and power and pace you're going to do the distance at, as well as how you're going to fuel the day. And then if there are any specifics to the course that you need to prepare for, that's what we do in our final few weeks of training. So in this case for Ironman Florida, it is flat. And our athletes are training on a flat bike course, on a flat run course. But if it was a hilly course, we would definitely implement that in the final few weeks of training as well.
The biggest workout we did was a 105-mile bike ride where we had 20-minute and 15-minute intervals at above Ironman effort. And that was also a big confidence boost going into Ironman Florida.
When we're tapering, it's all about sharpening up. So we're trying to reduce fatigue, we're reducing volume. We typically keep the same frequency of sessions, but it's getting in, doing a little speed work, keeping themselves fresh and acquainted to the pace they're looking to do on race day. And we're getting out and we're getting recovered for the next day of training.
So during this build into Ironman Florida, my max effort week was 18 hours of training. I average anywhere from 15 to 18 hours. And for me, I'm self-employed and I host a lot of retreats in Costa Rica. And so it was kind of difficult this year. I hosted 5 retreats this year, which is a lot of travel, a lot of energy output. And so balancing that with training was definitely difficult at times. And so sometimes my training was 18 hours, sometimes it was 15 or below. But I say I average about 16 per week, and really I have to just be consistent. Consistent was the biggest key for me, and just showing back up even after a break, getting back on the horse, building the momentum back up again was incredibly important.
So what we thought we'd do this week is share a couple workouts that we do in preparation for an Ironman that might be insightful for your preparation for your next race.
This year heading into Ironman Florida 2023, this is my second ever Ironman. My first Ironman was last year at Ironman Florida. I loved it so much, I decided to come back and do it again. This year's been a lot different though. Last year, First year in the sport, recovering from a blown knee in 2020, a very, very vicious injury. And so last year I couldn't really run much. I didn't run more than 10 miles heading into the marathon at the end of the Ironman. That was my first ever marathon, so I didn't have the same conditioning, not even close, that I do this year. I have the confidence mentally, physically, so I'm really excited to see the difference in my race this year. My goal is to do it in 3 hours less than I did it last year, so really excited for that. The build's been completely different. It's been a lot of fun.